Hello and welcome to another tutorial here at CapWorks Productions. My name is David. Today we're going to be looking at the Fingerstyle tutorial to Goodbyes by Malone featuring Young Thug. I'm really excited to help you guys out with this tutorial today. So if you have any thoughts or suggestions, leave them in the comments below and drop a like if you enjoy this video. If you'd like the tab, the guitar profile, or the audio for the song, check out my Patreon page. There's a bunch of really interesting content on there and you'd also be supporting me, which would be amazing. Cool guys, let's jump into it. So the first thing you're going to want to do is make sure that you have your capo on the 5th fret. If you don't have a capo, that's completely fine. You can play without one. But if you'd like to play in the original key, capo on the 5th fret. One other thing I'd like to mention before we start is the difficulty level of this piece. I'd rank it around intermediate level, maybe a bit more advanced in places. So if you are an absolute beginner, I strongly recommend taking a look at my Absolute Beginner's Guide to Fingerstyle Guitar. You can find that on Patreon. And that'll give you a really good foundation of all the things you need to know to play the arrangements on this channel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play through a couple of bars at a time and then kind of break down what I'm doing. I'm playing under tempo to make it a little easier to follow. So this is bar 1 and 2. Great. Okay, so a lot of this is chord based with the left hand. You can see I'm playing kind of a C major shape over here. And then I'm going to an E7 shape. Yeah, the last part of that second bar isn't quite an E major, but it's sort of similar. And then in terms of the right hand, making sure that you're playing the accompanying bass notes with your thumb. And then as soon as you start playing the melody, which is, that's all with your index and your middle finger with your right hand. Making sure that you alternate between your index and your middle finger to get all of those notes. And the reason I do that, especially with a piece like this, it's really fast. So if you play it at speed, it helps a lot being able to alternate. You can just play a little bit faster. So I really recommend that. I know it's tempting just to use your index finger or whatever finger's free, but avoid that urge and try and make sure that you play with rock solid technique with the right hand. Yeah, so that's the first 2 bars. Let's look at the 3rd and 4th bar. Okay, so similar thing with the left hand, you're playing these shapes, kind of like an A minor or an A sus shape. Your pinky finger's playing the 3rd fret, that's kind of like an A sus chord. And then bar 4 is kind of like an F major 7th chord, but what makes it a bit challenging is that you're going to pick up the 1 with your thumb. There's probably a couple of ways of playing it as a bar, but this is the best way to make sure all those notes are ringing over each other, which is important. Okay, so we've got that A minor shape and then this kind of F major 7th shape. And then last beat, making sure that we are getting all of the melody notes to sound out as well. Okay, so that's bar 4. Bar 3 and 4 is very similar to bar 1 and 2. So let's go from bar 5. This is where things change a little bit. We have the chord shape, kind of like an arpeggio, where we're playing across multiple strings with our right hand. So you can see here what I'm doing is I'm just going thumb, thumb, index, middle, ring. That's a really simple way of playing. Each finger gets a string, the bass notes are played with the thumb, and then the index, middle, and ring play the 3rd, 2nd, and 1st string respectively. And then we hop up to the 5th fret, and we have this octave shape. And then you have this kind of melody, but in octaves. I wanted to actually just keep it as 1 note, but then I thought, it sounds a little bit bland that way, so I decided to make it a little bit more interesting by including octaves. And then we go to this E major shape. And then the same thing, A minor shape, same melody, and then here we get to the F major 7th, which we're going to strum. You can strum with your index finger coming down like this. I kind of almost have a flicking motion with my right hand. And the shape with your left hand is like just a simple F major 7th, 1, 2, 3, but our third finger is going to hop up one string and our pinky is going to drop underneath. And then this triangle shape with our first finger picking up the first fret on the 6th string. And that is kind of the verse and pre-chorus. Then we're going to jump into the chorus. Okay, so here we have a 5 on the 3rd string, and then that's going to come just after the beat, so it'll be like this. And that's pretty much the whole chorus there. Okay, so let me break that down. This stretch over here would normally be quite uncomfortable if you're playing without a capo, but because the frets are a bit tighter higher up, this is a manageable stretch. 5, 1, 1, 1, 1. And then going into the 9th bar, you're going to pull off onto the open string on the strong beats. Then you'll have this triangle shape over here. Make sure that you let this open string ring. This is the melody. This is the most important note. And then you'll have this accompanying figure. Make sure that you play this really, really softly, because the open string is the most important thing, but since that's the melody, and then the accompanying line, it needs to be really understated. And then you can clap the melody again. Same thing, pulling off onto the strong beats of the 10th bar. A minor shape. Hammering on onto the strong beats of bar 11. Triangle shape. And try and keep your pinky finger down on this 3. This is also the melody, so try not to lift it up until it's absolutely necessary. And then here, bar 12, you do a very similar thing that you do in bar 11, except the shape has changed because you're barring with your first finger. Yeah, so getting that right is going to take a little bit of time just to get used to hammering on with your pinky finger and then immediately barring. But it's such a beautiful part. I really like this part. This is such a pretty change, I think. And that's the chorus. So hopefully I didn't go through that too fast. All right, we're going to go into the second verse, which is similar to the first verse, but there's a bit of a percussive thing that I include here. All right, so those 2 bars, C major shape. And then here, I do like a hit, and while I'm hitting, I'm strumming with my index finger. Which is also a bit of a trick. It's a really good thing to practice this technique in isolation. So I'm playing the 5th fret with my 3rd finger and the open string, so I have a unison here. And I'm flicking down, and then with my thumb, I'm hitting the strings to get that click sound. And I'm doing this action at the same time. And that gives that kind of percussive effect. So the rest is pretty much just the same as the first verse, just with the hit. So that's all the same. So bar 15 and 16, yeah, you can follow that in the same way that you did with bar 3 and 4. So from bar 17, we're going to have this melody in octaves. And then bar 18. So here, a lot of it has to do with making sure that your right hand technique is really good. So I'll show you a bit what I'm doing here. Thumb on the 3rd string, and then index and middle alternating on the 1st string. And then bar 18. Bar 19. And then bar 20, straight into the chorus. Yeah, so a lot of this again, once you've got the left hand shape down of this octave shape, which we had, it's kind of very similar to bars 5 and 6, except the right hand is a little bit more active. Yeah. If you want to practice this technique, is just practicing like open strings. And alternating with your index and middle while your thumb plays every single note. And the key is to make sure that your right hand is moving as little as possible. Try not to make it bounce. Even my right hand is not actually like perfect. So making sure that your right hand, the movements are really, really small and they're kind of coming from the knuckle as opposed to the entire hand moving. Okay, bar 21 is the chorus again, 23, 24. Bar 25 is the outro. What's very important is that you head into bar 25 with the correct left hand fingering. So let's go from bar 24 leading in. Here we have this very pretty bar again. And as you're about to go into 25, make sure that you play the C major type shape with your pinky finger and your second finger, not like a regular C major, like a normal person would play it. You're going to play it like a bit of a weird person, like that. And the reason for that is this, the rest of the bar, well, you'll see now. So you're going to have this arpeggio figure. So this way you can pick up the 2 over here with your third finger. Just makes it a little bit easier. Then to an E major. Here I bar down with my first fingers. Probably looks a bit stupid, but whatever. The reason for that is I really like this chord. It kind of is a classical jazz type sound. So having all these notes ringing over each other is quite cool. To an A minor shape. And then try and actually end on your pinky finger because you're going to repeat that line. That leads straight into bar 25 again. And repeats, etc. And that's pretty much the whole piece. I think I've covered everything. So in summary, to help you to kind of remember it, make sure that your left hand is playing the shapes and kind of try and remember each section around the shapes. And then practicing some of the techniques in isolation, like the hits. And apart from that, the rest is just about practicing, very slow practicing. I know it's going to be tempting to play it at speed. 75 beats per minute is moving it. It's really fast. So I would encourage you guys, practice really, really slowly. Take it easy. And if you're still watching, thank you so much for watching all of this video. I appreciate that. And keep it real. If you have any suggestions or comments, yeah, feel free to leave them in the comment section. I'm always looking at improving. So I appreciate all the cool things you guys say, and also sometimes the criticisms are good to hear as well. So cool guys, thanks so much for watching. Keep it real. I will see you next time.